Hey y'all, it's Andrea here at VW Family Farm, and I want to talk to you guys for a few minutes today about something near and dear to my heart, and that is the birth of a dream. So Ben and I have lived in the country basically our entire marriage. I didn't grow up in the country. I've been transparent with y'all about that. I actually grew up in town in a neighborhood, but once we got married, we moved out here and we've never gone back. But let's be real. Even though we lived in the country does not mean that we had all going that we do today. We didn't have what I would call a farm or a homestead. We had gardens and grew enough that we canned a little bit, and we ate fresh out of it and stuff in the summer, but we didn't have the food production that we have today. We didn't have the animals. We had some animals. We had a few cows and things like that we would raise and just sell the calves off or whatever, but nothing like we have today. Nothing for like food production and for a specific purpose like we have today. Like, we put thought into everything that goes on this farm these days on what is it providing for us. And I mean, maybe everything's not providing food. Like, we have pets and things like that bring us joy and all those kinds of things, but it's not thoughtless like it used to be. Like, these days it is a working farm, and even if it wasn't a farm, if it was just what I would call a small homestead, it has thought into it. What food is this providing? Why are we doing this? All those things like that. So, but it's not always been that way. And I want to take you back a little bit and talk to you about where all this started and how it can start for you.
So let's just start right over here, because this is where it started. Pigs. Back in 2012, we had hardly any animals on this farm, and we definitely did not have these. We did not have pigs. We didn't think we wanted pigs. We had heard that pigs would just tear up the land. It was not something we wanted. And one day we stumbled onto a farm and we saw pigs just like this. You can see Big Daddy is super muddy right now. He's been down wallering in the pond. But we drove up to a farm, and their pasture was green and lush, just like this one. And we were like, what is going on? This is not what we've been told or what we've seen from pigs in the past. And the pigs look just like this, with the big floppy ears, lots of spots on them, and our interest was piqued.
So that is where it all started for us, with pigs, and that was our first step into something that we had never tried before, and something that was way out of our comfort zone. Right about that same time, we decided to give homeschooling a try, which is completely not required to be a farmer or homesteader. It just went hand in hand for us. The more people we met that were living the lifestyle we desired were homeschooling, and so that is what led us into it. So that, in 2012, is when we met a family that was living exactly what we wanted, and that was our first animal here on the homestead, was old spot pigs. And let me tell you, it was super exciting. It felt like a long road ahead of us, honestly, because we bought piglets. That was the only way we could afford to get into the type of pigs we wanted. So we knew we were looking at waiting until they were old enough to have babies, and then waiting until those babies were old enough to process before we ever got any meat out of it. But it was the beginning of a dream for us. We also ventured into meat chickens not long after that. You can see
there is so many in here right now. It's insane, actually. And we did not start with, this is a batch of 600. We did not start with this many, and I wouldn't recommend that you do either.
In fact, I think that we started with probably about 50. And that felt like so many to us. And we were processing them ourselves, and it was exciting, but everything like that was such a big job, and it felt so overwhelming. But we adjusted, we learned, we screwed some things up, all those things, but we learned every time, and we got better every time raising all the different animals. Here's the turkeys, who are actually getting moved tomorrow, I promise.
But it was a while before we went into turkeys, quite a while actually. We did not raise quite a few turkeys for several years after we started raising meat and homesteading and farming and all that. They were just not something we ventured into right off the bat. And back when we first began, we definitely did not have this many chickens. We probably have 150, and if you count our new ones coming up, probably 200 chickens at this point. When we first started, we had a handful, literally. And we definitely did not have that big contraption for gathering the eggs and housing them and all that. We had literally a tiny pen, and that's where they stayed. They never moved. We didn't even know anything about moving them around. So things have definitely changed as far as the chickens and the egg production goes.
In fact, today alone, we sold 30 dozen eggs. So that tells you how we have stepped up the chickens and the egg production over the years.
And we most definitely did not have all of these.
So until the very early part of 2019, we probably only had a handful of cows, maybe 10 or 12, I'm not exactly sure, maybe sometimes a high of 20. But now, as of today, we have 133 head of cattle on our farm. So that has taken time to build up. And then in early 2019 is when we had put a lot of time and thought and prayer into it, into going big into the cattle. And that's when we bought a herd of 60 mama cows that had calves on their sides, and added that into our herd. And also, when I started milking cows, I started with one milk cow. We had one dairy animal. We don't have her anymore, but she was the beginning of all of my dairy stuff, and she trained me and all that. But today I have 8 dairy cows. I don't milk them all at one time. Sometimes I don't milk any of them. Like right now, we're building a meat business and I needed a break. I needed to focus on that, and so I'm not milking any of them. They're still having calves and being productive here on our farm, but it's just a season I needed a break. But I say that to say I didn't start with 8. I didn't start with 133. I started small. So I guess what I want to say to you guys is that the beginning of our dream happened back in 2012, but we didn't have any of this. We didn't have any of these electric fences to where we could move animals around. That wasn't even in our plan because we didn't even know about it yet. We just knew we were drawn and called to this lifestyle for our kids, for ourselves, for the food production, yes, but more than that, because of the wholesome lifestyle we saw, the back to roots lifestyle, the back to the farm, just all the things we wanted for our little family unit. We just felt, like I said, called to it and drawn to it. It was something that we just discovered deep within ourselves, and we thought, that's it. That's what we want for our family.
But before we go any further, I got something I've got to show you.
I gotta just be totally transparent with you guys.
Do you see this pen?
It's just a catch-all now.
But you can see these empty cages here. So those cages are empty because we don't have the rabbits that were in them anymore.
So I told you we didn't go buy all our animals, like our big cow herd and our pigs, all at the same time. In fact, it was 2012 when we bought pigs, and before we bought the large herd of cows, it was 2019. So that's quite a span of time in there. But what we did do is we went and bought a whole bunch of small animals. We bought rabbits because people said, you need rabbits. Rabbits are a great meat source and all this. So we went and bought rabbits, several places. We had lots of rabbits. We went and bought goats. We bought sheep. We bought smaller animals and lots of them very quickly. So I don't want to discourage you. If rabbits is your dream and they sound like a good fit for you, and maybe you would have your operation more streamlined than us, but in our experience, some of those smaller animals were the ones that took the more constant care. Like rabbits, water generally is these things you hang on the cage, and there's a little ball in the end, and they peck on them to get water. And we had to water them daily, sometimes twice a day. If it's very hot, some people even in the South have to put ice in there with them, and bottles of ice and things like that, because they get very hot. If it's very cold, those things freeze very easy. So rabbits were something quickly that we found out were a little too labor intensive for us with everything else we had going on. So not to discourage you from rabbits, but I guess the point I'm trying to make, because you can look around here and we don't even have goats and sheep at the moment either. We just realized they were not the path we were taking right now, and we were just about to work ourselves to death. So I want to tell you guys these things because I just want you to know your path and your dream might not look like everyone else's. Your dream might be rabbits, and rabbits may be a wonderful fit for your homestead or your farm. They may be a great beginning animal, or maybe you've been doing it for years and they'd be a great addition, but maybe they wouldn't either. And what I just want to tell you is either way, that's okay. If your desire is for a dairy animal and you've done your research and you know that a dairy goat is the way you want to go, I say take the plunge and go for it. On the other hand, your dream might be a milk cow. Maybe you don't like goat milk and you already know that. And so your path might be a milk cow, and that is okay too. You don't have to start with a goat and progress up to a cow. You don't have to get a cow if you like goat's milk. You never have to get a cow. So I just encourage you, live your dream, not other people's, your dream. And let's just be real. There's a lot of homesteaders on YouTube that people look to as experts, and that's fine because they do have a lot of knowledge. But just because they're doing things a certain way doesn't mean that that's the only way to do it and that you have to do it that way. Yours may look a bit different, and I say walk your own path. Blaze your own trail. It's okay to be different, and it's okay to do things out of order of what everyone else is doing. You know what? Normal is so boring, and living in the cookie cutter box that everyone says you have to, it's overrated and boring. So I would say do your own thing. Start your dream. If your dream is to have a homestead and a farm, and you know that that's the desire that's been placed on your heart, start making steps. You can see that it took us a lot of years and a lot of steps to get where we are with our farm and with our animals and all that, our gardens and everything. It's just, everything is a process, and I just encourage you, embrace the process, enjoy it. Don't wish it away until you got it all set up. Take the time to enjoy the process as you go, because I promise, as you're doing this with your family, or maybe you're doing this with friends, you're making beautiful, lifelong memories along the way, whether you realize it or not. Some of our funniest memories are things we've done here on the farm. It may even be an argument we got into when we were trying to work cows or work pigs. We used to try to load pigs and make them go where we wanted them to go, and we were just determined it was gonna work our way until we figured out, you know what, the pigs are in charge here, and we've got to do something to encourage them to want to get in that trailer. But looking back, those are some of our funniest memories of us out there trying to force pigs to get into a trailer. And I promise you guys will look back and be the same way. You will have some great funny memories. Some will be like painful to remember. You'll think, oh, we were ridiculous that day. And some of them will be beautiful and will bring tears to your eyes when you think about them, about things that you've accomplished that you never thought you could, or things your kids accomplished, or just goals that you met together, and just things that you've been blessed with, that the Lord has blessed you with, let's just be honest, that you never thought you would have. Y'all, I just can't even explain to you. I am literally living my dream, and I'm just so blessed, and I know you guys are too. I know if you look around and really think about it, you have so many blessings. We all do, and I just encourage you, take that step, because just like I said, 2012 was the beginning of a dream for us. if you haven't begun yet, your beginning of your dream is still out there. It's still waiting to be discovered and enjoyed. And I just encourage you to do that. Don't miss out on that. Don't miss out on it because of fear or because you feel unworthy or anything like that. Those are lies. And you are worthy and you are capable and you can do this. Even if it's growing some plants in a green stalk in your sunroom or something, or on your patio, or maybe it's just saving up and purchasing a farm share from a local farmer. Maybe you don't physically have the land, but your dream is to eat more local. That's a dream, and that's a worthy dream, and I encourage you to pursue it. I hope something I've said today encourages you guys, because that was the whole purpose of this video, was to encourage you. Take that step. Maybe it's your first step, maybe it's your 1000th step, but you're stuck right now. Take that step. You can do it, I promise you. And I'm rooting for you and I'm cheering you on. Shoot me some pictures over there on our Facebook group, VW Family Farm and Friends, of what you've got going on. Maybe shoot me a picture maybe of what your beginning looked like, if you have any of those, and then where you are today on your farm. I'd love to see them. I'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks for watching. God bless. Thank you.